So we're a group of 4.
You found him. Are you identified him, right, in terms of the
Gustavo Jr. and myself
that was at the
Fasig-Tipton
right.
2-year-old timonium sale in Maryland last year. Yeah.
And I know you mentioned this in the news conference last night, but I mean, applying what you saw in him at that time, and now looking at placing that in a Kentucky Derby where you're going to have a good pace, can you look back on that and say, yeah, this would be a fit if you could look in your crystal ball at what wound up happening?
Look, I think anyone in our position that goes to the sale, your objective is to do the best possible job. This is like an NFL combine. The scouts, the GMs, you're there doing your due diligence. Everyone wants to do their best job and identify the best potential talent for whatever your budget is. To say that you're thinking, your hope is to achieve a grade 1 status, a Kentucky Derby. It's part of your dream. It's part of your process. When you draft a player, you want to draft a Hall of Famer, a difference maker for your organization. In that concept, that's what we're doing when we're buying racehorses.
Right. And
you'd be lying, kidding to yourself to say, oh, of course, I knew it. But we thought he was a special horse. I mean, we went over budget just because we had a gut feeling amongst ourselves to go for it. So.
And at that point, you didn't know who I was going to end up owning him. You had not put together the partnerships when you bought him.
No, just Gustavo and myself.
Yeah. And so, did you know all the different ownership entities, or were some of them brought in other people, or how did it work?
Myself. 3 years ago, Gustavo Sr., who's been wanting to race his profile, he's come over here from Venezuela, and he's always had a small, boutique 30-horse, 25-horse stable, and it has achieved grade 1 wins. He's achieved grade 1 placings in the Travers and Florida Derby, and yet still has not broken through to attract more clients. Myself, competing as a lower level owner, but at the same time being a bloodstock agent. Wanting to raise my profile to attract more clients, to allow me to buy racehorses, more racehorses of higher quality. We decided to join forces, and we've been going to the sales domestically and internationally, and trying to get horses to compete and see if that creates a little buzz. So it's amazing how sometimes these types of plans come together and work out.
What's your biggest success before yesterday?
So there is the concept of pin hooking, which
you
buy and resell horses. I bought a yearling September of 2018 for $160,000, and then the following spring in March of 2019, he sold for $850,000. And amazingly, by November of that year, that horse ended up winning the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. His name was Structor.
Yeah.
And
sure.
That kind of, within racing circles, gave me a little bit of credibility. And Jeff Giroux, Don Rachel, and Chad Brown were amazing to let me be a part of the ride by inviting me, paddock pass for the Breeders' Cup, and Chad let me to the barn and give me little updates about the horses he was coming along in his career. And then when he retired, I was blessed for the opportunity by Jeff, Chad, and Don to sell him to Japan, or the opportunity to sell him as a stallion prospect, and I was able to sell him to Japan. So that created a little bit of waves, and it gives you the confidence that. And I bought it with my partner Joe Pickerel out of Ocala. It gives us the confidence to say we're looking at something and you're identifying talent, and that was probably my biggest success.
You were saying in the press conference that you wanted, you're looking for something to bring more attention to your bloodstock work and to Gustavo's training ability. Put in perspective, you win the greatest race in America. That's a good way to get your name on the map. Yeah.
I mean, it's just a testament to everyone's work, Gustavo, and Junior's a young kid, good-looking guy in his early 30s. He could be out partying, chasing girls, having a blast. Instead, the guy is living in the barn 22 hours a day. I mean, when you're and they were a successful family, economically they're well off. Junior could be a playboy having a great time, and instead he's living in the barn. You know, this is a dream for everyone.
It's a labor of love, isn't it? I mean, we see everybody up at 3 a.m. at the barn at the crack of dawn and long days, and it's truly a labor of love. We've seen that a lot.
You know, anyone you lose way more than you win. The lows are knockout blows, and the victories.
Yeah.
I mean, the victories is what carries you to the next step, and you surround yourself with amazing people, because it's so easy to say, oh, I was at the sale and I picked them out, and now I'm the beauty queen of the moment. But Moises, JJ Legato rides in the morning while we've been here. Brian, who's been helping us out, Kina over there, who I tease so much, but she's been helping us here in Kentucky so much last year during the year, part of our barn. They're just as important from top to bottom, the team that we've put together, the support from everyone when it comes together, like those comics like Voltron or Power Rangers. You guys all come together and create a special thing. It's bananas.
Ramiro, what's just a real quick snapshot on you? How old are you, and where'd you grow up, and how'd you get into this?
Sure, I'm a 5th generation horseman. My grandpa came here in the late 60s, 68, from Colombia when the racetracks there closed. Okay. He was first he started as a jockey in 1930, all the way through his passing in 1999. He always said, I was born on the track, I'm going to die on the track. He put in 60 years at NYRA, working in every capacity.
Okay, all right.
From hot walker to groom to foreman to assistant trainer to being an owner. My 2 uncles trained at NYRA and Finger Lakes for probably as old as the 8th pole over there, and with super small strings of a handful of horses. I was born into. Luckily, my mother was the youngest of that group. So when she went to college here, met my father, got us into horse ownership. So I was lucky to kind of experience another aspect of the business of, being the son of horse owners. We never achieved anything. We maybe ran a couple graded stakes races and we won some allowances, but we never, made it. But, the dedication to the sport is the other side of the coin. You give your life to this. My family, it's the time spent, the hours committed to the horse. People in some capacities live paycheck to paycheck in their own, professional careers, and the horses for us. You don't even know how many times a victory or a placing, that paycheck of that purse bailed you out or brought you out through a special moment in time. And, the big races get the glamour and the glitz, but what the horses do for people is unbelievable. And I got to experience that from a very young age. So I'm 44 years old. I've been living in Miami since I was 5.
Okay.
4 or 5 years old. Grew up Calder, Hialeah, Gulfstream. Those are my playgrounds. Even the New York tracks, when I go visit my dad, my parents split up, so when I go visit my dad, Saratoga every summer, and I think I've missed 3 Saratogas in my life. Belmont, my earliest memory, like Caveat, 83, Belmont, Swale, 84, Chief's Crown, John Henry, Ferdinand. I mean, those were my cartoons. So for me, it's like a reality that it's like a dream and a fantasy becomes reality, that you're able to make a career out of this, and that you can think of all these derby, you can think of all these derby races, and how you're going to say that I'm going to go to the museum or something and see my name on the thing. It's like, what?
You're in.
Yeah,
it's like, careful what you wish for, right?
It's insane.
I just went over it a little bit last night, but why he didn't race it too?
No, it was just this timing on the calendar. He was a May purchase at the 2-year-old sale. We always give the horses a month and a half, 2 months off, just to power up after the 2-year-old sale, which is, it's just like the NFL Combine.
Right.
It's quite the process. We always give him a little time to power up. And Gustavo's not a guy who says, my horses have to run at Saratoga or, any high-profile 2-year race. We'll just let it happen. Mm-hmm. He could have been ready to run by, end of October, early November. He loves to participate on big days. And he circled that race on the calendar, and
now that you're past the Derby successfully, the fact that he is lightly raced, does it start playing in your favor? I mean, he's he's not over the top. I mean, as far as looking to.
Yeah, I mean, from day one, he wasn't worked. He didn't have the amount of stressful works or pressure put on him in the mornings, even for his debut. So the races get him into fitness. There's always a joke that, oh, this was a first-time starter, but he's probably run 20 times in the morning already in company and in bullet works and more strenuous works, and he's been brought along. So it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice that the races are getting him more and more fit, and you know, Gustavo for the mile and a quarter, mile 3/16, mile and a half races, it's his strength as a trainer. So it's kind of all playing along.
I mean, do you think about that? I mean, justify how rare it is for a horse to win in modern times. Justify is only one in their fourth career start, and you know the whole thing with the unraced 2-year-olds. So, but I mean, like, you know, the rare company that he is in, beyond being just a Derby winner. I mean, just how the statistics he bucked to.
I mean, it's just these types of milestones are just things that you're just digesting as the information comes to you. What are you gonna say? Like, it's bananas. We're all here just like we did it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still trying to, like, there's a I have to watch this replay every time, and he wins every race. You know? he never does not win. So it's just the coolest feeling. And these types of facts, you can just sit back and, you know, you dream of those being in the pantheon of those horses, and you're like, it happened. But you know, nothing can be. I cannot stress enough the importance of the barn, Gustavo Senior and Junior, and everyone down. Even Renee, who takes care of him back home. Moises, who's like our lead barn groom for the big days he travels. He was with Bill Mott for many years. Even Ralph Nix, who's a trainer at a Gulfstream that worked for Bill for many years, called me and said, please, Candido and Moises, who's over here, send them my love, send them my thanks. Those are some top guys. JJ Delgado, who gets on him every morning. Gustavo Senior and Junior, who lay it, you know, just lay it down and giving their everything for this stuff. Those are the guys that, you know, I just love the cameras and can express myself, and my English was great. Thankfully, I was born here. You know, and we put together a partnership group after the sale. I'm blessed to have a lot of amazing relationships. I do have I do a little bit of everything, but I have a role with the sales company Fasig-Tipton, which is where we ended up buying the horse at. And I have a lot of lovely relationships here and all over the world. I've been blessed to do business in the bloodstock capacity in 12 countries. So you have a network, Rolodex or whatever, of a lot of people from a lot of different places. And when you want to create special things, you can reach out to a lot of interesting people. And Sam Hersberg of Sterling Racing, he's from Miami, but now he lives in Southern Cal, goes back and forth. He's in real estate. He's a real estate maven over there, and he jumped in right away. He had a Derby starter 10 years ago, and unfortunately had a morning, the day before the race, had a morning setback that had to scratch as well. So he's been chasing the Derby. That horse is called Black Onyx. He's been chasing the Derby Dream. And then I reached out to Chase Chamberlain and Brian Dockstader, who are the two principals of the Commonwealth. And Chase is originally from Tennessee. Brian's from LA. So home base is Gulfstream Park, and if you know, when you're a broker or an agent in the business, the racetrack is your office. Sure. You're constantly watching races, and with Fasig-Tipton, my role specifically is the South American, Latin American, Caribbean market, and Gulfstream with Ocala. So you really start developing relationships with the local horsemen there. And Gustavo, when he won the test with Paola Queen, we really had, you know, the relationship started, you know, just in a friendly terms, and how much relationships just through, you know, conversations and just small talk, and that continues where, you know, grab a lunch, and, you know, you just, anytime you develop a relationship, and 3 years ago, we were at a horse sale, and we sat down, for lunch, and we kind of both looked at each other and saw a lot of things in what we wanted to achieve and how we wanted to forward ourselves in our careers and our paths, and we came to a working relationship, an agreement to say, hey, let's join forces and see where this can go.